I'm one of those folks who has a lot of ideas for projects, and I'm gonna guess that there are plenty of y'all out there who are in a similar situation to me. I mean, this is 36 ideas of videos, originally supposed to be only 20, and there are videos on my channel that are not on the list. So I have way too many ideas to actually turn into projects in a reasonable time span. And this is only for the videos. I have plenty of more lists over there. But I recently found something that can help with that a little bit, but there's one problem with it. It's its own project. So at this point, let's add that point on the list. But instead of letting it sit, well, hopefully it will, well, first off, it'll be crossed out pretty immediately since that's the theme of this video. And hopefully it'll help me reduce the numbers on the rest of the list. So let's get it started. Proposal doc. So I was calling out only half joking with that opening bit. Don't make proposal documents for all your projects. That's just going to burn a lot of time. Proposal documents are great for helping you decide with larger projects and determining scope when you're doing projects that would say take more than, we'll say, a week or a month. Depends on you, and depends on how long it takes for you to make these proposal documents. The first proposal document that I made in this format took around an hour and a half, 2 hours to make. But as I learned more and figured it out, it shrunk down to I think I did this one in 10 minutes. But yes, so, general idea of what is, first off, thank you, Scat, for teaching me this. He actually is working with me on how to make games, and this is his first step in converting a game idea to an actually actionable piece of documentation. So, thanks, Scat, for teaching me that. And generally what is happening with my version is that I'm using these to pitch to myself, although I'm technically pitching to you. I have these 3 examples right here, and actually 2 of these are game ideas that I am going to pitch to you all, because I can't really decide between them. They're actually going to be me making my first game. These are ideas that I want to use to actually learn video game design and into making my first game. So yeah, fundamentally this structure is made for games, but they can actually be very easily adapted to other things. I mean, I already adapted it for this example to a tabletop RPG campaign, can be adapted to books, can be adapted to visual projects, stuff like that. So, what we're covering in this video is these 3 examples, and we're going to talk about 2 of them in particular detail so that I can have you all help me out with deciding which one to move forward on. But yes, so let's actually dive into the structure of the proposal document. There are a few major parts, so 1 sentence core, 2 to 3 sentence themes. You can have some screenshots and picture examples of what you want to do, mechanics and how to operate, and then selling points. That's the fundamental structure. I did add a couple of others later on, but I'll cover that later in the video. So, getting into it. I'm going to use this spellbook game as the example, because this is the first one that I wrote this week. And this is one of the options for the first game idea. We'll start out. This 1 sentence core. You start out with this because this is going to be the bare skeleton at the core of everything you make. Give absolutely the most basic form of your concept. This is like the closest you can get to your what if as possible. Cut everything that you can cut without the work being fundamentally changed. So in the spellbook game, this is going to be a deck builder, old school dungeon crawler, so orthogonal direction navigation, where your deck is a spell book and you turn pages instead of drawing cards. And so you actually have a couple of examples of that right here. This is a screenshot from Legend of Grimrock, where you're facing a crab, and it shows that sort of how it's going to appear visually. But this is a screenshot from Slay the Spire, which is going to be much closer to what it is when you're in combat and stuff like that. But that'll be. I'm getting ahead myself. So this first section is the one sentence core. Then you move on to a 2 to 3 sentences theme. Think of it like you're putting a pound of flesh onto that skeleton that you just made. You want to be really sparing, but this does take on another layer. Think of it like the difference between saying Wii Tennis versus Pong. Pong is the fundamental core of what it is, but Wii Tennis is the theme that you add on top of it. It's saying, yeah, we're a bunch of people playing tennis and stuff like that. So, for this spellbook game, you play as a simple Scrivener mage who is sent to a pair of cities to just document the deaths. But that mage cannot stand idly by and instead uses their knack for casting any written spell to save as many people as they can. So you can see, like, this is the theme. All of a sudden, it adds these story ideas and sort of the direction that it's going to go in. It's going to be a hard game, as you can tell, with just the documenting deaths, save as many people as you can. It's a disaster scenario. So yeah. Then moving on, you have screenshots or picture examples. This is from Legend of Grimrock. It's going to show the overworld navigation, stuff like that. This is the combat. I think closer to the combat. I might try to blend these two to be closer to a more traditional game. But, of course, that's for later choices. This is just essentially saying, hey, here are a couple of examples of what I want to do with this game. Then we get down to the mechanics. This is more of a list of how someone engages in your project than anything else. For games, this is going to be the primary mechanics, as of course, that would be engaged. So for mine, this would be casting combat, turning pages, gathering spells, making spellbooks, and grid-based movement. Those are the core things that would interact with my game. And of course, here are a couple of picture examples. Feel free to add those to your mechanics if it's a game. One of the things, though, that I recommend for non-game setups is that you talk about you list out how people will engage in your project. Stuff like if it's a media setup where you're putting out a bunch of videos and it's an ARG, you'll want to talk about how they're solving puzzles and what kinds of puzzles you're trying to include. Like what is core to the experience without getting into all the bells and whistles. And of course, a couple of illustrations on what's actually going on. And then finally, we get to one of the biggest parts, your selling points. What are the cool parts of your idea? Why would someone want to engage in your project? And feel free to add a photo if that helps with the selling points. So in the spellbook game, my selling points are that it's a unique twist on a popular genre. I haven't found anyone that has made like a spellbook deck builder. You're going to be focused on planning and strategy, and there are going to be a lot of themes of earned victory. You're going to have to push hard to get this. This is going to be more on the Souls-like level of difficulty, but not really focused on reaction times or anything like that. Now, there are 2 extra sections I'm not gonna that I made up for myself. I'm not gonna cover those until the end, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, this is the base level version of what Scat taught me. Before we move on to those two other ideas, we're going to go over to this other game idea because I want y'all to get in the comments and let me know which of these you like more. I just covered the spellbook game, and now I want to cover this haunt idea, the haunt investigation kind of mystery thing. And while you're down in the comments, feel free to give it a like and subscribe if you would like me to cover this project in the future, because I don't know. Would you all want videos on this kind of stuff, or would you want videos closer to what I've already been doing? So to review, starting out with that one sentence core. It's a horror mystery search and find adventure game where you are a group of people trapped in a haunted mansion and must find clues and equipment to solve the room or present the key item before the haunt. Then the 2 to 3 sentence theming. You play as a group of regular folks who find a new story in an old tome of horrors, one about a mansion that sounds exactly like a house nearby. They go to investigate with only the book and the flashlight, and then get trapped by the ghost of the previous investigator, who will not let them leave until the mystery of the mansion is solved and the murder weapon found. So this is going to be like this kind of murder mystery, search and find, adventure game, where a lot of it is very focused on, hey, we're going to try and solve this ages-old murder mystery that this one, a ghost investigator, couldn't figure out. And so a couple of examples. This is from one of those old adventure games. I'm trying to remember what I got it from. I think it was called Search and Find Murder Mystery or something like that. Very basic name. And then this is from Cryptmaster. I actually want to have typing mechanics in the game, and I really liked how Cryptmaster handled a lot of its puzzles and a lot of the clues that it gave. So I would love to incorporate something like that into the final project. Mechanics. So I want to do the bunch of puzzle solving, hidden object searches, and then I'm going to have some grid-based movement that is a lot like dungeon crawler RPGs, old school style dungeon crawlers. And I want to use typing objects names to use them. So that's one of the things that I'm going to really be using Cryptmaster as a reference for how to do things well, is those objects names. And I feel like it would be a really good way to include that search and find into a presentation of a bunch of clues. So yeah, there's that. And then of course, here are examples of illustrations of the controls. You're going to click to collect the items. You're going to move with SAD, and then you're going to type in the name of the final answer of a lot of things. Finally, selling points. Search and finds are really a heavily underrepresented genre in the PC gaming market, especially the classic form that was done in late 90s, early 2000s kind of stuff. They've mostly moved over to mobile games, and I really want to push forward this honestly very fun genre that could get a lot of people into PC gaming. There's going to be an art forward focus. It's hard not to be very art forward when you're literally studying the piece of art in order to find the particular thing that you're trying to get. There's going to be a lot of storytelling. This is going to be a heavy narrative-focused game with then themes of cosmic horror through the deluge of individuals. To explain that a little bit, I've noticed in my life in particular that there are a lot of entities that are created through thousands and thousands and millions of individuals that become these monolithic entities, again, that are almost cosmic in their horrifying power. Something like the government, the voting groups, businesses are huge. Don't even get me started on international tycoons and stuff like that. And there's this level of cosmic horror where they don't even acknowledge you. where unless you have your own level of power, your own deluge of individuals that can make their lives hard, they don't care. You're not worth enough power or money. And that kind of cosmic horror feels really delicious to explore. Now, remember, would you all mind commenting which one you want, the Haunt or the Spellbook games? Because honestly, I don't know which one to choose. It feels like either of these could be fantastic to run through with. And the mechanics don't seem to be too difficult from my understanding. I don't know about programming. I don't know enough to see what pits I'm digging for myself. This next part, Scat, would you mind just skipping forward to the next chapter if I put chapter markers on this? If not, just skip the rest of the video. I'm going to cover something that's a bit of a spoiler for you. For everyone else, this is actually a tabletop RPG campaign. Oh, sorry. Bye, Scat. So, for everyone else, this is a tabletop RPG campaign that I actually want to run for Scat and a couple of other people that I know in the meat space. And so I don't want them to get too spoiled to the central mysteries of things and stuff like that. So yeah, the two major sections that I was thinking about are requirements and commitment. The general idea is that they are here to judge how big a project is and how much it requires of you to get it going, get it off the ground. So specifically the requirements are, these are the things that you need to get to before you start actually getting to the meat of the project. Think of it like you're getting your tools, you're learning how to use said tools, you're doing your prep work, mise en place if you're talking about cooking. Then you want to add time estimates if you can. If you don't know, then that's fine. I actually didn't include time estimates because really I'm gonna try to scale up the level of my DMing from what I did in the Abandoned Island campaign. But I want to do something similar to that. So first off, is going to be learning the perfect draw system. This isn't a system that I have learned before, so I have a couple of other things that I need to do with it just so that I can make sure I'm familiar. Then I'm going to write a mystery, because this is going to be a mystery campaign. And then I'll alter a bunch of the example characters that were presented in the rules document. They actually have a campaign document kind of pooled in with that. Wonderful system. I'll actually link it in the description. And then I need to make some maps for some of those central locations that'll be important to the game. I'm going to look for players. I have Scat. I have maybe like one or two other people, but I want it to be a full 4-person party. Then I have to find a time to play during the week. All of y'all who played tabletop RPGs, you know the problem that's here. Getting 4 or 5 people, their schedules to align is just not, it just doesn't happen very easily at all. Then I'm going to import everything into a virtual tabletop if it's needed. Virtual tabletops are essentially allowing you to play tabletop RPGs online. But this one, I don't know if it'll be online or in person or something like that. We'll figure it out. Finally, and this is the big thing that's going to be a scale up from when I was playing when I was running Abandoned Island. I want to find some music before the campaign starts, rather than just rely on Darkest Dungeon to save my ass. But yeah, this is essentially all the prep work that I would need to do in order to get this campaign off of the ground. Then the commitment is essentially what you're maintaining. This is what's required to cook the meat, I suppose, if we're going on the meat preparation thing. This is, you can also use timescales here to kind of scale the project. So for this example, I'm just doing 8 to 12 sessions. That is 3 months. So four sessions of once a week. Tabletop RPGs, you know, that's 4 weeks each month, and you all know the math. Anyway, so here it's going to be devoting prep time each week and spending time actually at the table playing / streaming. And this is going to be like an extended project. I'm not sure when I'm going to pull the trigger on it, but at the very least, and this is one of the other things that's really, really cool about proposal documents, is that it saves the ideas in a very strong state. It is compelling to come back to these and compelling to kind of jump in again and try and say, hey, I want to play this. So yeah, fantastic. I got anything else? Oh, let's review. So first off, I hope you all enjoyed this setup. And yeah, that's basically the format that Scat taught me, plus a couple more. Just to review, you start out with a 1-sentence core, add a 2 to 3 sentence theme, include some screenshots or picture examples of what you're trying to do. Then you focus on the mechanics or how people are going to operate / engage with your project. Then you move on to the selling points. And then that's what Scat taught me. But then you can, on top of that, add in what's required to get you started, and then what commitment you need to push out in order to continue that project. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that whole process in the video. One of the things I'm actually experimenting with is today I am doing a 1-day record and edit. So hopefully it's like 5:45, 5:47 right now. Hopefully I can get this out tonight. Yeah, that wasn't necessarily an experiment by choice, but one of the other things I'm doing is I'm experimenting with less hard and fast scripting. So let me know what y'all thought of this video in the comments. And of course, like, dislike, comment, subscribe, YouTuber things. And so, yeah. For those of y'all with dark skies, good night. And the people with bright days, I hope you have a good morning. Hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever it is in your neck of the woods. Goodbye.